It turns out that Hanma Yujiro is not actually human. No wonder he is so terrible. When Baki was beaten to death by Yujiro, the identity of the Hanma clan was finally revealed. Archaeologists found an inscription on the wall. There was a relief of a ghost in human form, and he was Yujiro Hanma's father. This time, Yujiro, who was full of ghosts, had beaten Baki until he peed. Very strong, but he didn't stop because the horse blood in Baki's body had not fully awakened, and something miraculous happened when Baki was about to be beaten to death by Yujiro. Baki's head actually emitted a dazzling white light, and then his back muscles began to expand. In less than 2.5 minutes, a miniature version of the ghost appeared in front of everyone, and Baki climbed up from the ground with difficulty. When he looked at his father, his inner fighting spirit was instantly extinguished because he knew that with his current strength, he could not defeat Yujiro. However, just as he was about to give up, Yujiro suddenly showed a look of horror. He didn't even think about it. When Baki turned around and looked back, suddenly a shadow that was even stronger than Yujiro appeared, and he was none other than Baki's grandfather, Hanma Yujiro.
迷ったか
おじいちゃん
変わらん我が子相手に来る我が子バキちゃんや勝てるぜはい
At this time, Tokugawa was so shocked that he couldn't speak. However, after confirming that he was indeed Hanma Yujiro, the memories that had been sealed for years slowly returned to him in World War II. The fireworks troops attacked the uninhabited city. Tens of thousands of tons of explosives were dropped on the island, and all they did was deal with Grandpa Hanma Yujiro and send warships and fighter planes into the sea. The island was bombed continuously for 25 hours until the entire island was almost leveled to the ground. The Fireworks Kingdom sent troops to the island to make sure whether Yujiro was dead. Unexpectedly, he appeared unscathed. Even the underwear on his body was not damaged. In front of the soldiers. General MacArthur was very angry after learning the news. In order to completely eradicate this monkey, General MacArthur asked his superiors to activate the nuclear bomb for the bombing. Previously, the commander was ordered to execute him the day before the nuclear attack. But the commander of the order was killed by Yujiro. The incident caused all the soldiers to be extremely frightened. However, after eliminating the enemy leader, Yujiro did not rush to leave. Instead, he came to the deck alone and surrounded more than 2,000 soldiers. The fleeing soldiers jumped into the sea one after another. No wonder others said that the newcomer wanted to defeat the entire fireworks country. The screen turned, and Yujiro looked around, remembering Yuichiro's long famous move. Although Yujiro hated it, but Yujiro couldn't help but use that move. It was unbelievable that the tray was used like a human nunchaku by Yujiro and spun wildly. Under the influence of the rapid centrifugal force, all the blood in Baki's body rushed to the brain, just sprayed out of his nose. At this time, the world in Baki's eyes already covered in blood red. The terrifying scene scared the audience and fled in all directions within a radius of 10 kilometers. But even so, Yujiro still did not stop at all. Gradually, a layer of clear mud formed on his body like a towel, but he seemed to be unable to do it. Suddenly, Oliba seemed to think of something bad.
Mamore! Wagami o Hanma o nanuru nara! Kire! Shinu na yo!
The violent impact immediately caused a red flash, but Yujiro still felt that it was not enough. Then he lifted it again and slammed it hard on the car. But Yujiro felt that this was still far away. Baki's body began to rise gradually from the impact. When he stood on the ground again, the horse blood on Baki's body had recovered from the damage caused by Yujiro. The boys' hands held each other tightly, as if one day they could go home and watch anime videos. And Baki also prepared a special gift for Yujiro.
えらく出来のだが
人形っていうか
Yujiro never expected Baki to make a doll out of car parts when he was hit by him, but that didn't matter anymore. Since Baki had woken up, he decided not to keep it anymore. No matter how Yujiro attacked Baki, he could immediately counterattack. With just one punch, Yujiro was sent flying by Baki's punch. After Yujiro was attacked by Baki, he woke up again. At this time, the situation between the two of them was completely reversed. When Yujiro stood up, he had not felt this feeling for a long time, because he was so strong that he became stronger. On this road, his desire gradually diminished, but now finally a man appeared who could hit him hard. Even though that person was Baki, he stepped on him hard. As soon as he lifted his foot, he hit Baki hard, but now Baki far exceeded Yujiro's expectations, jumping high into the air and hitting Yujiro's face like a battle axe. The powerful blow immediately knocked Yujiro to the ground. The strongest creature on the surface finally fell. But he woke up again because he knew that this fight could not end just like that. He saw Yujiro stabilize his body in a very strange posture. At this moment, he felt very happy. Then Yujiro jumped up and came to Baki again. The fight between the two really started at this moment. At this moment, Baki's face began to melt and then his whole body. At this moment, Baki felt an unprecedented power. His hair stood up like Yujiro, and then his legs exerted force and came instantly in front of Yujiro.
親父の面倒は俺が親子
At this time, Baki is like a super saiyan, exuding a strong fighting spirit. Yujiro stands up again, but the father and son start making a scene in public, from cannons to human dances. Finally, can't stand it. She is a new female general known for her trickery. What a touching scene. Right now, Yujiro, who was the strongest being on the surface, was walking in the park with a tray on his back, in front of tens of thousands of people. Having just gotten his reputation as a cheater exposed, the sudden appearance of a woman interrupted the conversation between father and son. He didn't want to interfere in this father-son fight, but he really couldn't bear to see his father and son continue to fight like this.
見てらんないよまどろっこしくて
Baki's fighting spirit was immediately ignited, and then the fight between father and son began again. Yujiro was the first to attack Baki, but Baki turned around and easily avoided it. Seeing this, Yujiro became even more excited to face him again. As he was going there, he was suddenly attacked by Baki with one finger. Everyone present was shocked. The moves used by Baki were exactly the same as the traditional martial arts and one-hit techniques in Japan. Then Baki kicked with lightning speed, grabbed Yujiro's head with his toes and slammed his hands down. But for Yujiro, this despicable act had no effect on him. Then Yujiro turned sideways and fled to fight. Saw Yujiro throwing a punch at Baki in the air, but Baki's reaction speed was faster. Not only did he avoid the fatal blow, but he also rode on it like a monkey. At this time, both the police officers who were maintaining order and the people watching the excitement all looked at the father and son duo who were fighting. Yujiro kicked Baki's stomach like a ball. He could barely stand up as he flew upside down for a few meters. But when Baki turned around, Yujiro was already behind Yakina. Yujiro thanked the woman who made Baki stronger. Yujiro was very grateful. The fight began again. The two punched each other in the face, but in front of the woman they loved, Baki's fist was clearly superior. Many people had gathered in the square. Everyone in the crowd was looking forward to the final result of this father-son fight. At this time, Yujiro punched Baki's body hard again. At the critical moment, Baki blocked this terrible blow with his arm. Saba jumped into the air, turned around, and climbed onto Yujiro's neck. This was a very touching scene. This feeling was something Baki had never experienced before. However, the happy time was always short. He suddenly hugged Yujiro's waist and slammed him to the ground behind him. Yujiro stood up again. For him, Baki's attack was not enough to knock him down. With a powerful punch, Baki was beaten to the point of pain. The image of his mother's death also appeared in his mind, but Yujiro's attack did not stop there. He could not hear what Yujiro said at all, but Yujiro clenched Baki's hand. He wanted Baki to let go of all distracting thoughts and focus all his strength on his fist, his father said. But he still clenched his fist and took a fighting stance again. Then the ground beneath Baki's feet collapsed. This punch that carried all the heart and soul seemed to be able to defeat everything in the world. This was a fight between real men. It was as if time had stopped and no one knew. How much sacrifice did the two of them make in this fight? But what was certain was that they both enjoyed the fight very much. The fists of the two of them hit each other's chins at the same time, creating a strong impact. Centered on the two of them, a radius of tens of meters was affected by the great impact. Shrouded in white light, the two of them could no longer feel any pain at this time. Their feet kept looking for an advantageous position. At this time, the TV was watching Jack, who had been watching the previous battle, finally couldn't stand it anymore. This time, Yujiro slowly opened his arms. Even in the face of Baki's fierce attack, he did not defend himself, but only enjoyed the happiness brought by the blow. Baki continued to swing his fists and hit Yujiro's body. His ears could not hear, but he could feel the touch of his fist hitting his father. Swinging his numb fists with all his might was the only connection between him and his father. Yujiro suddenly hugged Baki, his face full of kindness. He looked at Baki afterward. After receiving the attack, Baki fell to the ground and completely lost the ability to move. However, he actually used his ghost brain to create an illusion and attack Yujiro again. However, Yujiro defeated him by killing him. When Yujiro released his hand, Baki also fell heavily to the ground, completely losing his ability to fight. The tense battle between father and son finally ended. Since the case had come to this, there was no need to continue the fight. After all, Yujiro was not a cruel demon. But at this moment, Yujiro seemed to have been kicked by something suddenly. In front of everyone's surprise, Yujiro turned around and showed a friendly smile to Baki, who was lying on the ground. How much fighting spirit do you need to be able to use your fighting spirit to turn into a ghost and attack your opponent when your body has lost all ability to move? He felt what he wanted to express by feeling Baki's fist. Saw Yujiro open his palm. He himself would cook dinner for Baki. Amazingly, a piece of tofu just appeared in Yujiro's hand. He then cut all the ingredients with an imaginary knife, then put them in the pot and continued to stir for a while. A steaming bowl of tofu miso soup was ready. At this moment, Baki couldn't hear any voices, but he still felt what his father wanted to express. Yujiro slowly sat down in front of Baki. Baki looked at the simple bowl of miso soup in front of him, something his father could get. The idea of taking action was enough for Baki. In this way, the father and son sat at the table under the gaze of tens of thousands of people. Yujiro lovingly reminded the tray that he would get cold if he didn't eat. Began to eat in front of the eyes of the whole world. The tofu soup that Yujiro made for him. Baki didn't answer his father's words, but instead turned the table over. Yujiro hurriedly caught the bowl, chopsticks, and table in midair, but before he could get angry, everything in his hands disappeared. Just as Yujiro was confused, Baki's words snapped Yujiro out of his daze. Can he taste the bowl of soup? So he turned the table over to protect his father's dignity. At this moment, Yujiro also understood what Baki wanted to express. After receiving a firm answer from his father, Baki was satisfied. In Yujiro's eyes, the standard of strength was not only defeating all weapons, but also having the power to carry out the will of no one but Yujiro, who could control it. But that was all. A strong man with a heart that was kinder than anyone else. When he saw those who suffered from the war, Yujiro stood in front of them without hesitation and used his powerful strength to speak for them. When faced with the soldiers who oppressed the weak, Yujiro vowed to eradicate them all, and this was the true desire that Yujiro had to carry out as a strong man, to hand over the title of the strongest creature on the surface to Baki.
ここに最強を名乗れ
The audience at the scene was immediately in an uproar. The new strongest creature on the surface was born. Oliver and the others attacked with great momentum. No one expected Yujiro to take the initiative to admit defeat from the ground. But at this time, he couldn't hear any sound at all, and he didn't know that he had become the new strongest on the surface. In his impression, it was Yujiro who finally knocked him down. If his father hadn't shown mercy, he would have been killed.
俺の負けです。
Suddenly, tens of thousands of spectators shouted Yujiro's name. Yujiro did not expect the title of the strongest creature on the surface to return to him. The sun on the surface has been decided after watching. In this battle, his cancer was completely cured. The battle between the strongest father and son on the surface finally connected people.
地上最強の部下。ここに集